You're listening to the Wedding Procast UK, the place to be if you are a UK wedding professional looking to grow and streamline your business. I'm your host, Donna Eade, 10-year wedding photography veteran and CEO at the Society of Professional Wedding Vendors. If you want to grow and streamline your business, this is the podcast for you. Make sure you hit subscribe where you listen or join our email list at www.spwv.co.uk. You'll find the sign up form at the bottom of every episode, and by doing so, you won't miss a thing. So let's jump into today's show. Helen Adams is a global leader of the female business revolution. She works with female entrepreneurs who want to create their dream income by using their intuition consciously and powerfully so that they can enjoy the lifestyle they desire and make the impact they want to make with ease, joy, and flow. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Now, if you have listened to the show before, you know that I love to talk about money. Why? Because without money flowing in and out of our businesses, we don't have a business. And I think, especially for women, it is one of those taboo subjects. Call it ingrained patriarchy or whatever. We tend to avoid talking about it. Possibly it feels a little bit too much like maths to deal with. But I know that today's guest will have some insight on that for sure. It's important for men and women alike to be aware and knowledgeable when it comes to their money. So anyone that I can bring on to help us get past our money blocks, I'm going to do it. So today, Helen is joining me. She works with women, but that doesn't mean there's nothing here for men. So lean in and listen up. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button where you listen so you don't miss out on some fantastic interviews coming up. And without further ado, let's get into the show. Welcome to the show, Helen. I am so excited to have you here. I've said in the introduction, I am a big money person. I don't think we talk about money enough. I think as women especially, and I know I've got some guy listeners, don't turn off, guys. There is still information you can take from today's show. But as women, we have been generationally programmed to not talk about money. Money is not something that we deal with. And I think obviously times have changed, and it is actually very empowering for women to take control of their money and have that insight into what they're doing. So I am so excited to have this conversation with you today.
Yeah, thanks so much for inviting me, Donna. It's going to be a real good conversation because, there's so much around money and empowerment and the way that women see money. And, there's so much that we can still break down. So we're going to have a really exciting few minutes, I can see.
So you focus on working with intuition when it comes to money, which I would love you to explain a little bit more about what it is that you do and how you got to where you are in your journey today.
Brilliant. So I am the leader of the female business revolution. And what I do in the revolution is that I help female entrepreneurs to create the dream income that they want. And that's not the income that we were told we can have, or we were told we should have, or the stereotypical woman can have. It's the income that we dreamt of when we were little girls, when we had no blocks, no barriers, when we had nothing to fear. I get them back to that point. And the reason I do that is because so many women are suffering from stress, they're suffering from burnout. And the thing is, when they're able to use their intuition powerfully, then they can get there quicker and they can enjoy more of the things they want. They can enjoy the ideal lifestyle with no boundaries. They can have more quality time with their partners, with their loved ones, with their friends, having even me time. And the thing is, there are a lot of women out there who do want to make that big impact. So when they've got a big lot of income backing them up, they can make that impact without missing on any opportunities. So it's basically living a life of flow, ease and fun, just by learning how to bring that money in intuitively, which is totally different from the way that we've been taught. So talking about how I came to doing this, I'm going to go right back from the start, but obviously I'll just pick the main points because, as you can see, I've been round the clock a little bit. So right from the beginning, when I was a little girl, I was an only child growing up. I had a headmaster for a dad and a teacher for a mum, so I had absolutely no chance. And when I was that little girl, I always felt that I could never be truly who I wanted to be. I always had to be what they wanted me to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I also had another feeling that I would break away from that and live a life of my own. And I always had these big dreams. I wanted to go on stage and be I know it sounds funny. I wanted to go on stage and be a star. But they, were saying the only thing that you can do to get good money is do your studies hard, go to university and then get a 9 to 5 job. And then you're sorted for life. How many people have heard that? So many people have. So at that point, you always trust your mum and dad, and you think, maybe what I was saying was totally wrong, and they are right after all. And a little part of my dream died. But then as I went through life, I'd always have these little nudges now and again to get me back to that dream. And I remember how I came across this. When my ex-husband and I broke up and there was just me and my son, I needed something else to do. So I became a teacher, which was my second love. And after the last job as a teacher, I knew there was something more. I had to do something more. And I was in this bookstore and this book kept jumping out at me. It was called Be Your Own Life Coach. And I kept on sort of turning my head to look at the book. And then I thought, nah. So I started walking out the shop. And then something made me turn back and get that book. That was my intuition, even though I didn't know it then. So I took the book home. I was absolutely hooked. I read it. I just devoured it. And then I thought, right, this is for me because it's got the teaching in it and it's got the opportunities to be on stage and speak and get my influence out there. So I started the book. And then I did this course, this coaching course, and I signed up 4 clients straight away and I couldn't believe it. I thought, something's wrong. But I carried on and I absolutely loved it. There was money going in the bank. And then as the clients were coming to an end, guess what happened? Mummy's voice came back in my head. This isn't going to work. So then, of course, I was put in an uneasy state and my money started dwindling away. And this sort of pattern, it went on for years and years and years. And then finally, just before my 50s, I realised, what's going on here? I dug down into the pattern and I saw that, this is happening when you're happy, when you're doing something you love, money is flowing to you. And when you're not, then the money is dwindling away. And it took me all that time to realise that. But once I did, it was massive. It was a big sort of wow. So I started doing the coaching again and things started coming. And I started this revolution because there was something deeper than that as well. Because I've got a spiritual side to me too. And I learned that my mission was not just to empower all these women, but to go one stage deeper and sort of help to break that generational conditioning around women and money that's been going on for so many years, because that's all in our DNA from our mum, dad, grandma, everything. And, we're carrying that on. And if we don't consciously try and stop it and look for another way, then generations are still going to be not fulfilled. They're going to have their lives maybe damaged in some way because they're not fulfilling their full potential. People are going to be stressed. There's going to be more dis-ease. So we want to stop that and we want to get that fun and flow back. And that's the biggest thing, getting people to believe that fun and flow is the right thing to do. It's not a scary thing to do. You're not doing something wrong if you're doing that. You're doing your life like that.
Yeah.
Is that making sense?
Absolutely. And I think you are hitting the nail right on the head there. And in the wedding industry, I think money is always a bit of a bone of contention because we tend to be very creative people and we do what we do because we love it. and putting that charge on it. There's this sticky point in us that is like, I want to get paid what I'm worth, but also it's what I love to do. And, you know, sometimes putting a money label on it kind of takes a part of the joy away. And there's this whole conflict with us and money. And then we have the couples that come in and go, oh, well, so-and-so's doing it for like 300 quid, why are you charging 800, and all of these kind of things that we're dealing with all the time. So there is a lot of angst around money in our industry in general because of that. And then put that on top of exactly what you were saying, mum and dad telling you that you need to go and get a 9 to 5, you need to work hard, and that's the only way you're going to make money, and don't have these airy fairy artsy ideas, it's not going to work for you. And, you know, you can see why, especially women struggle to make money and keep money. So I'm really excited to jump into our conversation. So before we get into how intuition can help us with our bank balance, can you explain to us, Helen, what intuition means to you and how it appears in your life, so that we can kind of understand? Because as much as I kind of understand what intuition is to me, I think different people think of it as different things. So if you explain to us what it is in your interpretation.
Okay, brilliant. So as I said before, I'm quite connected, so I often hear my intuition all the way through the day. But for someone who's not used to it, intuition is that little voice, it's that little gut feeling, it's that voice that says sometimes, you know, do such and such a thing, and it may seem totally illogical, but you've got a knowing that that's the right thing to do. It's a feeling thing, it's not a thinking thing. Intuition comes from your feelings, and the way that we can, you know, navigate our way through life with the most success is as feeling beings rather than thinking ones. Using that feeling, whenever we get a feeling, whenever we get a nudge to do something, those are the things that get you through your life. So it's all out of the head and into the heart and the gut, the feeling part of it. That is your intuition. And when you're quiet, you'll hear it. And sometimes when you're doing something totally different, you'll hear your intuition. You'll get a little light bulb, you'll get a little nudge. You might get, oh, go and see so and so, or go to this place. And then when you go to this place, your ideal client might be waiting for you there, for instance. So it's the nudges that get you where you want to go, even though it doesn't seem logical. And when you're working with intuition consciously, it sort of does it in a different way. You can't see all the steps, you can only see the next one. But what you have to do is you have to have faith and follow that step, even though it's really scary when you get more and more into being intuitive and running your life that way. The good part of it is that it 10x's your result, and it gives you those big leaps forward. So if you want to cut off a load of time, a load of energy, if you want to stop leaving thousands of pounds on the table, then making your way consciously with your intuition is a really good thing to do.
I that makes so much sense to me. And I was sitting here thinking about how actually, you know, we tend to be, you know, we read books like, you know, the is it Blue Ocean, you know, and you think of these big sky blue ideas and all of this like out here, and we've got to think big and know the plan and sort of see it there. And I think as humans, we tend to want to know where we're going. You know, it's that whole evolution thing, you know, we all want to know where we're going to end up. And so we're always thinking quite big in that respect. And sometimes it's hard to just sort of break it down, and we sit there and we get overwhelmed because we're just like, oh, that's such a, you know, big place that I want to get to, and there's so much I've got to do it. And when you break it down, and we're always saying with our plans, you know, break them down into smaller manageable steps, and that's exactly what your intuition is going to do for you right there. You just said it is only the next step. It only gives you the next step. And it can be scary to sort of blindly go, okay, my gut's saying this, I'm just going to do it. I don't know where it's going to take me, but that's what I'm going to do. It's brave.
It is brave. And when I'll give you a little tip now, if you're in that position and you're in a scared moment, just remember, you can't make a wrong decision. You can't mess anything up, because everything is a learning. And I always have a feeling that when I'm listening to my intuition, I've almost got like another sort of inner person backing me, if that sort of makes sense. And it sort of doubles my confidence. So when I'm in tune with my intuition, I'm getting to this stage now where I'm not caring so much about what happens because it's coming. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does indeed. So that's fantastic. So hopefully now, guys, you've got an idea of what intuition is, and maybe you have now picked up on little thoughts of oh, actually, yeah, I remember when this happened and my gut was just telling me it was wrong and I couldn't do it, and you moved in a different direction. Those are the things that we're going to look at, honing in on for this podcast. So how can we use our intuition to start changing the look of our bank account?
Right. Okay. So if you're not intuitive, if this is all brand new to you, what you need to do is start off, have 10 minutes every day, ideally in the morning, just quietening your mind. Because what a lot of people do, they're frightened of listening to their intuition. So they make themselves busy. They do excuse. They say, oh, we can't have time to sit down and hear those little quiet voices. But those 10 minutes in the day, they're gold. You start doing that every day, and then you'll get these little nudges. You'll get sort of ideas of what to do. And sometimes you might try that. You might quieten yourself for 10 minutes a day, and it might not come then. But as you're going about your day, all of a sudden, you might be driving somewhere and you have a light bulb moment in your head. That's what your intuition is. So that's the first part of it. The second part is you've got to make sure you're open. Don't be closed to ideas, and don't be closed to possibilities either. Because when it comes to things like money, a lot of my students on this 8-week program, I've said to them, really open up to your intuition. And a lot of them have attracted unexpected money as well. It doesn't mean that the only money that comes in is from your job or your business. One woman, this is no word of a lie, she was the second week on the course, and she had a cash envelope through her door with £100 in it. She didn't know who it came from. Then there was another one, and she had a tax rebate, a nice big juicy tax rebate from the Inland Revenue. That was about 4 weeks into the course. So when you start opening up, anything can happen. It's just what you choose to believe, and it's just what your energy connects with. So when I say that, I mean, if you don't feel any tightness in your body or any twinges when you're thinking about that possibility, when you feel like all the cells in your body are aligned to that, you're all feeling joined together, then you can have anything you want. It's what you believe, and it doesn't matter what anyone else has said. Even if you're the only one who believes it and you go for that, then that's what you have to do, because that's what you're meant to do, and that's your true potential, and you can get unlimited money. This is a lie about, there's only a certain sum of money. We live in an abundant world. There's enough for every one of us to have plenty.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of us, I'm not going to sweep the blanket statement across everybody, but a lot of us feel like there is a ceiling. And I know for me, it is definitely there. Like, I struggle to move past a certain level when I'm in my business or, in my personal finance, whatever it is, that I hit this kind of ceiling of, I don't deserve any more than that. Or, I don't, I should, what's the point of having more than that? It's almost like, as long as my bills are being taken care of, that's all I need. And although it's all I need, it's not all I want. There are things that I want to do outside of it. And I always feel like I'm like, as soon as I hit that level of, the bills are being taken care of. And that's what makes everything so hard for people, is because, if you're in a position where you're not covering your bills, that's one thing. But if you're just covering your bills and you can't seem to make more money, then you always feel like you're struggling, because you can't
Yeah.
have any of the pleasures in life. Or if you do, it means that you're, going into credit card debt, or you've put money on a catalog and you're having to pay it back, and there's interest and all of this other stuff to have those nice things that you want. There's always this mentality of, you only need this, and therefore that's all the universe is going to give you, but it's ingrained in our heads. And so that's obviously a big block. How do we start to move past those blocks so that we can listen because I feel like that would block us from our intuition. That would be the thing that says, no, that's ridiculous, that's never going to happen. No, why would that even come into my head? I could never do that. Why would I go over there? Like you say, completely illogical. That's not even the direction that my business is going in. Why would I do that? And it stops us from moving forward. So how can we kind of move past those, or how do we start? What are the things that we can do to start moving past those blocks? Because I've got a feeling that it's not something you could just click your fingers and it's okay. I'm past all of those traumas now.
Yeah, no, it's an ongoing job. The more you the more you raise your level to higher amounts of money, the more these blocks come up, because they're just coming up to the surface to be released. So there's two main things that you can do. So the first one is look at the way that you perceive money. Now, the problem with money is people attach a lot of emotional charge to it. And what you have to do is to take the emotion out of money and remember that it's just an energy. It's just an energy exchange. So going back to your weddings, you provide all the service for the bride and the groom to have an absolutely amazing day. And that amount of money that you choose is a thank you. And the thing is as well, like you were saying, one person says, oh, the other guy does it for this much. It's your energy that, what you have to remember is it's your energy that they buy too. Because if your energy is right with them, they will pay the price that you want them to pay. Obviously, you're not going to rip them off, but they will pay a decent price that you want them to pay, which you think it's worth, rather than dumbing your value down because you think, I'm in competition with this. We've got to realize we're all unique. Nobody does something the way that we do it. So in effect, there's no competition. There is enough for us all. And the right people will be attracted to us. We will attract our tribe first and foremost from our energy. So it's looking at money as an energy. It's taking all the emotional charge out of it. And it's also realizing as well that, your amount of money and everything that you have, all your security, your safety comes from you. You don't need anything else. You don't need anything on the outside. It sounds like a bit of a contradiction. But once you get that sort of inner unshakable belief in yourself, and I'll be looked after, I'll be able to have the money that I want, and you build that up and you know it and you repeat it to yourself and you really get that emotion behind it and feel it, then the money will start to come. Just think of money as a friend. If your friend is, if you're always phoning your friend and asking them, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? They're going to run away. If you know that they're there, or they know that you're there, but there's not that sort of encroachment almost, then they're going to be drawn to you by themselves. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
So that's the first part. And then the second part is, it's a lot of soul searching. It's a lot of journaling. I don't know if you do journaling or anybody does, but journaling is just writing down your thoughts, having a brain dump almost, and getting it out on paper. So what you do there is you find out what your belief is about money, your rubbish belief. And you say, okay, so I don't believe that I deserve this much money. And then you start digging. So you ask yourself, where did that belief come from? Is it a true belief? What evidence can I see of that? What evidence can I not see of it? And then look at, why am I holding on to this belief? Because sometimes people will hold on to a belief because it keeps them safe. And they're doing that unconsciously. So it's looking at, right down to the bottom, going down to the bottom of that belief until you can't get any further, and then let that belief go. And what I do with that is I write it on a piece of paper and then I go out in the garden and burn it. and it's really sort of an energy release. So you're letting that go so you can move on.
Yeah, I love that. And there is something powerful about burning something. It's just like, and it's gone. And so you've kind of touched on a few things there, of how we might sort of begin to start using our intuition to make this happen. But can you kind of sort of solidify like maybe three starting steps, three things that, you know, if we really want to start tapping into our intuition to change our bank account, what should we start with? What are those first 3 steps that we need to take?
Okay, so the first one is to know clearly what you want. That's your clarity. And when I say that, it's got to be the first answer that comes out with your intuition. It's not what, you know, somebody else told you to do. And then write that figure down. And then really get into the feeling behind that figure. And through certain points in the day, make that feeling come back. Know how you felt and make it come back. Because it doesn't even mean that you have to think about that figure or that. You can just do something else to get yourself into that feeling. But the most important part is to have that feeling. And then when you're up on that sort of frequency, things will come into your mind that'll help you attract the money that you wouldn't have had if you didn't consciously make those feelings start coming. So that's the first one. The second one is definitely to go into any sort of beliefs that stop you from thinking about the money. So write them down, journal them every day. And then the third thing would be to really start that conscious relationship with your intuition. So give it time, let it speak, and follow it straight away, because then your intuition knows that you trust in it, and it's going to give you more and more steps, and you're going to get there way further. And don't overthink. It's all done with the feelings. Just feel your way to where you want to go.
Oh, that is so good. And I just want to sort of go back on those steps for a second and say that number one, so powerful. And I think one of the things that we tend to do is we're listening to what everybody else is saying. So, you know, I run a membership. I'm in a group for memberships, and, you know, in there, they're like, oh, we want 7-figure memberships are having this club over here, and, you know, I want to make $1 million on my membership this year, and there are all these figures being thrown out, and it's so easy to get caught up in, you know, and for the wedding industry to see that somebody's charging £2,000 for their photography, and, you know, that's what I should be charging, and feeling like this is where I should be and this is what I should be doing. Pulling it back to actually know, what do I want? And I think a big part of that is, why do I want it? Because if you don't know why you want it, your mind isn't going to let you get there, because it doesn't see the purpose. So when you're sitting there and going, this is what I want, and like Helen said, that first thing that comes into your mind, this is what I want, sit down with that. Okay, this is what I want, but why do I want it? What is the freedom it's going to give you? What is the things that it's going to give you? What is the, you know, stress release it's going to give you, because you haven't got to worry about the mortgage? All of the things, the why you want it is going to just make that desire more powerful. And that is a great place to start from. And then Helen was talking about the journaling. So we spoke about that a little bit earlier in the episode in a little bit more detail, where she said, you know, what are those blocks? You know, what is it your parents always used to say to you about money that, you know, is just rolling off your tongue to your children? You know, money doesn't grow on trees and all of that kind of stuff. And really dig down into, is that true? You know, where is the evidence that support these things? And most of the time you're going to find that actually there isn't the evidence to support it, and that's when you can really start to move on from that. And then remind me what number 3 was, Helen, because I've got off on a tangent.
It's okay, Donna. So number 3 is developing that conscious relationship with your intuition. So giving it time to speak, listening to it, and then following it more and more.
And that was the first thing that you were talking about with getting up in the morning and just having that
Yeah.
quiet time and really tapping into what is your subconscious saying to you, what is your body wanting, what are your thoughts, what are your feelings. It's all of those things that are going around in your head. You know, when you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, oh, and you've just got to get something out of your head, or you wake up and then you stew on it for like hours before you get back to sleep because you haven't written it down, and you need to get it out. That's our subconscious, that's our intuition. They're sort of at work, so we need to just take that time to listen to it. And by doing this, we can have a great impact on our income and the money that flows to us. So, oh, so good. Thank you so much, Helen. Now, before we wrap up, Helen has an 8-week signature program, which I just want you to tell us a little bit about before we wrap up the show today.
Oh, thank you, Donna. So yeah, I'm absolutely excited about this 8-week program. Once this gets out there, this is going to change the way that female entrepreneurs around the world start doing business. And it's going to get rid of a lot less stress, a lot less burnout, etc. So the 8-week program is called The Hidden Key to Your Dream Income.
Oh, wow.
The hidden key being your intuition.
Mm-hmm.
So we cover those 3 principles. So the first one of all is getting that crystal clarity, really opening yourself up, cutting out all these blocks and thinking of the figure that you truly want to make that ideal life. Then the second part is we do a big workout on clearing those blocks, clearing those. And we also go into the subconscious as well, where I use something called timeline therapy, because I'm also a master practitioner in NLP. So we use that, and that is really powerful because that gets through years of conditioning and it can get you out there in a few moments, and it's really powerful. And then the third thing is really truly having that relationship with your intuition and making it powerful, using it consciously, powerfully, and then get it 10x in those results. The sky's the limit. The last woman that we had on that program, in that 8 weeks, she made £12,000.
Wow.
So yeah, it's just what you believe. And there's a saying, I don't know if you've heard of Esther Hicks, asking it is given, but she's got a saying, and she says it's just as easy to create a castle as it is to create a button. And we need to know that whatever number we want to create, it's there for us. We can change the perception of it and just go out there and create it. So that's what I'm there to show women all about.
Oh my goodness.
We can have what we want. There's enough abundance for us all.
Yeah. Oh, and I tell you what, just as you were saying that your program is going to take people through and that the NL practices can just like really flick a switch for you and stuff. I'm going to say something so crude now. It reminded me of being constipated.
Yeah.
You know, you just
out.
We've got all of this money blockage. It's all of these blockages, and all of a sudden, whoosh, just I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Out. That's absolutely perfect.
We want to get rid of all the shit.
We do want to get rid of all the shit now.
Oh, brilliant. So good. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Helen. It has been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're really welcome, Donna. I've enjoyed it, and thank you to all the viewers and listeners as well.
Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. I hope that you found some insight in there to take away. Thank you so much to Helen for joining me on the show. Don't forget to go to the show notes and find her socials. Go and find her 8-week course if you're interested in taking that, and show her some love. If you found this episode useful, then please hit the share button. Share it with somebody in the industry that you know who might be able to take something away from it too. And until next week, bye for now.